The emphasis shifts back here from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Spencer and the boys out there, of course, looking to the 5v5 matchup this weekend. Quite innovative between Queensberry and Matchroom. But, of course, we now know the emphasis will be back on Saudi later on in the year, because December the 21st is the date for the rematch between Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk. And Fury's US promoters are Top Rank, and the president of Top Rank, the top man, is Todd DuBoef, who has just come straight from the airport, having landed from Denver in a flight from Denver, come straight here to us here at London Bridge. Todd, how have you done it? Are you a man barely awake?
I'm doing it with a cup of coffee. That's it. I mean, I'm like, as soon as I got here, I'm like, you got to give me some coffee.
This is very good of you, and thank you for doing it. Now, that's dedication, Simon.
Indeed. Coming to the cause.
Todd, great of you doing that. December the 21st, all the emphasis again will be on Saudi Arabia as your man Tyson Fury tries to go back in and turn around what happened in the first fight. Looking back at it, do you think, what did go on there? Usyk beat him.
Well, I mean, I think it was two separate fights. If you looked at I thought it was a pretty clear way to look at the fight. I thought at some point in the fifth or sixth round, I was like, I think this is, Usyk is done. I mean, he was bending over, he was getting hit with the body shots and the uppercuts, and Tyson got hit with the one left hand, and it changed the fight. Yeah. And you saw him, he tagged him on the nose, busted up the eye a little bit, went to the corner. They kind of went around, kind of figuring out what was going on, and as soon as he got off the stool, you could see he was definitely, disheveled. He didn't see that. He was not comfortable. He was blowing the nose. He was figuring out what he was doing. He lost his mojo, right? And he didn't come back until the 12th round, right? And I thought he won the 12th round. And I thought he was constantly Usyk got a lot of confidence, and he got sucked out a lot of his confidence and energy in that.
That is pretty much an accurate summary of what we witnessed, isn't it, Simon?
Well, it's a view, isn't it? I mean, other people have different views. Other people think that Usyk made Tyson work very, very hard. When Usyk was on top, he made Tyson work hard. When Fury was on top, which was for certain parts of the fight, he also made him work hard, and some of the fatigue set in, and Usyk caught up with him. I think it was a great fight. I think it was a great fight between two great fighters that put on a spectacle, becoming of a once-in-a-quarter century since the last one, because I went to the last one in Madison Square Garden and the Thomas Mack Center to watch Lennox win both fights, and with an appalling decision in America in the first one. But I think that clearly, Tyson Fury, if he's going to win this fight second time around, he's going to have to do something slightly different.
But it could be said, Todd, that public perception here of Tyson in some quarters has changed a little bit. You're probably aware of that. What's the public perception of Tyson Fury in the US?
I mean, he had the ability to do two things, right? One is come up with incredible, personality and light up a studio and take over a conversation. And we hadn't really seen that, in anything in the heavyweight divisions for years.
Yeah.
For years.
Yeah.
And we were kind of seeing this on the end of like the Conor McGregor, and you're like, wait a second, it's like Conor McGregor, Tyson Fury, and they're both coming from over there, and they got this whole swagger going.
Yeah.
And then you see him jump in the ring, and he's so big and so smooth and so quick and so fast, and then he has power, and he gets hit and he comes down, and then you look at him and he's not so sculpted, right? He's not a bodybuilder.
Right,
it's like Mrs. Doubtfire. What's going on, right? So your brain is going through all this stuff, but he connected with people, and he still does.
Of course.
And he's been a wonderful credit to the sport globally, and he took over America. And I don't think you've heard any criticism about him at all. I think most people were like, hey, we were in for a terrific fight.
Yeah.
And I think when you have the billing of this is the undisputed, this is it, and it delivers, that is awesome for us. I mean, I was there when De La Hoya was fighting Trinidad, and it was it. This was the big one, and it didn't deliver. And that's disappointing, right? When the fans feel like they were left empty.
Yeah. Once he got back from Riyadh, Frank Warren, Tyson's promoter here, of course, he joined us and he put a bit of a different dimension, Todd, if you like, on the Fury conversation. Have a listen.
I know him. You don't know him. You've met him in the Wembley dressing room. I know him. I deal with him all the time. I know the type of person he is. I know what he's been through. I know seriously what he's been through, some really bad times. And what I say about that is the fact that he's officially diagnosed as being bipolar. So take that into account, all you geniuses who seem to just think you know everything. You don't know. You don't know the background. You don't know the man. And sometimes the things he said, I've cringed at a few times at some of the things he said, but I know what goes down.
I mean, Frank was suggesting we should caveat some of the criticism that was coming Tyson Fury's way. And he added, as I said in the introduction to that there, Todd, he added a different dimension to the discussion. Do you think did that have a relevance? Do you think what he said?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's always this tension between athlete, politician, and pundits, and people in the news. I mean, there's a tension, and I think people are great at kicking dirt on people and poking the bear, and they forget they're humans at times. So I don't know. I mean, I don't. I think we have to appreciate him as an athlete, and we have to appreciate, what he did and what he has done. I was at Wembley when 95,000 people showed up, and it's to date one of the most magical things I've been around. It was wonderful, and I think we should appreciate that. And I think you should appreciate what he's given to the sport and to the people. And I think sometimes, we have to give these guys and these athletes and whoever else, personalities, you have to give them a break a little bit.
Do you think that's a fair point Todd makes, Simon?
Not particularly. I think you have to get balance. I think you have to praise and be fair in your praise. And I think you have to be fair in your criticism and be careful what kind of leaders and sportsmen you want. Because if the only kind of sportsmen that you've got are the ones that can only take praise, I'm not entirely sure what they're representative of. I think Tyson Fury is a remarkable talent. I think he was phenomenal when he went over to America, when he started doing his Nacho Libre impressions and getting involved with his Apollo Creed outlook. I thought he was a showman, and I've met him and felt he was one of the most enigmatic, charismatic sportsmen that I've ever encountered. And I've been responsible as an owner of a football club for sportsmen and understand the value of making sure these people are looked after. I also understand the value of building character and resilience into them. And when their behaviour and the behaviour of those people around them is boorish and thuggish, I think ultimately there is a right for people to say that's not acceptable. If you want to bring a medical condition into a conversation as a caveat, then that's fine. But if you do things like me, which is then go and talk to neurophysicians who are experts in this field, saying if you lot are so concerned about his bipolarity, then you shouldn't be allowing him to box anymore because it will exacerbate his condition and make it worse for him. But none of you will say that. I think Tyson Fury has behaved in a way over the last 12 months which I think is not becoming of a man of his talent. And it may well be that there are circumstances where his condition details that. It doesn't detail it when he's being praised, of course. Bipolarity doesn't come into the conversation when he's being praised. I just want my heavyweight champions of the world, if I possibly can, and I realise that we look down the list of them from Sonny Liston up to Mike Tyson, and they've all said pretty repugnant things at times, and maybe an idealist. I just want them to be the best version of themselves they can be. And we certainly saw that in a fight. I just think when somebody goes over to Saudi Arabia and starts lecturing people about what he doesn't get in his own country and how he's not appreciated and how he shouldn't have to queue at airports and how he shouldn't have to pay tax, I think people are going to say, whoa, easy fella, calm down. And then when you don't like that and you ban broadcasters are going to turn around and say if they've got any balls. I don't think so, son. Who are you?
Well, I wasn't given all that context but to the question. Now hearing the context, or I had heard all about that it had occurred. And I agree with you. I think there is accountability there, right?
Well,
I don't think you use excuses. You just say, listen, that you have to have accountability. And if you're going to be bold enough to carry your flag for being an athlete, and you're going to be bold enough to offend people and to snub your nose at people, you have to be able to take the incoming.
Fair comment.
If you're gonna drop your pants and do it one way, you got to be able to take it, right? You can't hide behind you being a celebrity or an athlete so I think I think personally what he has represented for the sport has been wonderful in totality. right?
I think you're probably right.
In totality.
I think you're probably right.
Being in America where it was a decade and a half that the heavyweight championship was in Europe and largely with the Klitschko's over here.
Yeah.
Everybody kept saying to me, where's our heavyweights? Where's our heavyweights? And Deontay Wilder came in, and AJ came in a little bit, and then Fury came in, and the renaissance began.
Sure.
And I think he was wonderful at helping carry the flag.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.